And, I think there's a couple ways to look at this. One is, there's those really hard events in the past that we need to let go of. And there's those really good things in the past we need to let go of as well. And today we're looking more at the latter, what it's like to really let go of the good stuff of life that really served us well, which is very hard to do. So I want to talk about that for a bit. And I do want to just quickly touch on letting go of the past, the hard parts. A lot of that is the work of forgiveness, which is a whole series in and of itself. You can look at a lot of videos we've done on that. If you're interested in going down that particular path, a lot of those on our website, because that is tough and that is a lot of work. Today, what we're looking at a passage in the Bible where Abraham is talking about, purchasing a burial lot. It's ancient story, and what's that all about? And burial plot for a loved one, and then there's this line in the Bible that says, "I will bury my dead." And looking at that, I'll bury my dead. All right, we can look at that very literally. That's what he's literally doing in the story. But there's a bigger figurative part here that's beautiful as well, poetic truth, which is that, we're going to get to a point where we have to bury those things. We have to put them to rest. We have to put those memories to rest. Doesn't mean we forget them, but we need to find a way to take those things and to just put them away a bit. And that's really hard to do. That's really hard to do especially when things have worked for you. Because in a certain way, as time continues to change, nothing fails like success. So we're really successful using a certain thing. And then as society changes, as community changes, we all of a sudden found that those old tools maybe don't work quite as well. And there's some sadness in putting them away. I know for me, I love old forms of church. I really love old forms of church. New Church Live, we've shifted into a 99.9% online congregation. That has so many beautiful things about it. And there's times where I really do grieve the older forms, that with hundreds of people there on a Sunday and this, that, and the other thing. But that's just not where society is right now. So how do we do that? How do we let that go? Well, I'll just read you the passage and we'll talk about it some. This is from Secrets of Heaven, 2,955. "I will bury my dead," that's the biblical quote, means emerging from a spiritual nighttime and coming alive when an earlier religion dies. In other words, when an earlier faith, our faith sort of goes and we change into something different. "The Lord always raises up a new one to replace it. So instead of death, there is life. Instead of night, there is morning." And the way to maybe say that is we first off we have to honor that. Look, this thing really served. Again, I come from a very traditional church background. That really served me well, and that really served. And there's so many good things about it. I'm really glad some people have continued on with that. That's a beautiful thing. So we honor that. We honor the important things that it served and how it served in our life. And then there's also this candid acknowledgement of yes, and things have changed and time has gone on. And it doesn't change, with something like a religion change. It doesn't change who God is. It changes how our view of God works, because your view of God probably from when you were 5 to now has probably changed umpteen times. It's not that God has changed. Hopefully over the years we come into a more and more accurate view of God, but it does mean letting go. And that letting go is painful. That gets into the whole dark night of the soul, famous spiritual concept, which means that those old concepts die. And that's the dark night of the soul. And we can feel very bereft as we bury these things, and it can feel like sort of a final death. But that's not what God is saying here. God is not saying this is a final death. What God is saying is that death begets life. And what we have to keep an eye out for is just keep on asking this question. What do you think God is trying to show you here? What do you think God is trying to open up? Where are the little seeds? Where are the little hints of life that you're starting to see moving forward? And that's tough because we want to go back to what the loss is. Completely understandable. Don't try to force people out of that, because there is a real loss. I think there's a real loss when we don't have we don't have in-person church community anymore. There's a loss there, and at the same time, don't get overly focused on the loss. Start to see where are the points of light. Where is God kind of planting a seed? Where do we see things starting to open up? And really force our attention onto those things. It's the whole like Lot's wife, old biblical story. Don't turn back. Don't keep on turning back. Look forward. Jesus says the same thing where he says, don't as you're plowing the field, don't look behind. Like keep moving forward. And I think that's where we want to start to, as best we can, start to make that shift. Now that shift will not be easy, and that shift will be hard. That shift will be painful. And I can't say it strongly enough. We need to remember that there were really good things here. There were really good service-oriented things that really served a lot of people. And you will see people who somehow managed to continue to keep those older forms, those older things going. And it's a beautiful thing. God bless them. And we could look at that in a million different ways. And then we have to start seeing, okay, what is God opening up here, and how do we sort of refocus on that? And that's where we allow those things an honored passing. We give them the rightful place, and we know that life will continue to move on, and we need to continue to move on with it. It's not easy. I mean, I'm getting into my older years, and it's like, oh my goodness, I feel too old for these kind of changes. But obviously God sees it differently. God's like, nope, these are the changes. This is how things are working. And we can either fight the current or swim with the river. We want to swim with the river. Obviously, we don't want to lose track of our ideals or lose track of our values. That's not what this is talking about here. It's talking about being willing to give up on forms that are no longer serving the amount of people we would love for them to serve. So that's the thought for today, friends. And however that looks in your life, like where's the thing where you've seen kind of this thing that has passed away that's really hard. It's hard to like put it to rest because it served you, your family, your community really well. And it just isn't there anymore. And how do we acknowledge that, acknowledge the good things it did, acknowledge the feeling of loss, and at the same time start to look and see, oh, these are the little seeds, these are the little points of light that God is building. What are those for you? And it's a good place to live and a good place to lean in to what those will look like moving forward in your life. So, hope that makes sense, dear friends. And what we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears. When we shift gears here at New Church Live, we sort of come in for a soft landing, prayer bell, little meditation from the Old Testament, prayer from the New Testament, a little blessing, going back to Levitican blessing, and then we'll say hi to anyone who's joined us on Facebook. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath and the prayer bell. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery look here and see if anyone has joined us on Facebook. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend ahead. All right, Christine, time away from the past makes it easier. Yeah, that's so well said. It really does take time. And Christine, that's really good. Melody, great to see you. And yes, you are welcome. Brittany, great to see you as always, my friend. You can't alter your past, but you can take your past and alter. Yeah, that is very, very well said. You just can't. It is what it is. And how do we move forward? Very, very well said. Yeah, and Linda, they are good questions to ponder. They're not easy because there's part of me that just wants to be like sad about the past that is no more because there were a lot of good things to it. That is for sure. Um, Chignone, a beautiful day to you all. Totally agree. Sharon writes, oh, Sharon, that looked like a good comment. Hold on, let me pull it up. Gen Z has broken the record for Bible sales. That is amazing and beautiful. Thank you, Chuck, for helping us to put our grief in perspective. Like those kind of things are like crazy, right? Here's a little thing for you. Do you realize that the New York Times bestseller list does not include the Bible? Because guess what's the bestseller every year? There you go. There's a little point of light. Like, who knew? Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? Thank you for sharing that, Sharon. It brings a good smile and definitely a big smile. Chignone writes, love the concept of death as renewal a right spirit within us, oh Lord. And it really is. And it's just so hard. And I feel like the Lord is just constantly saying, just wait. That's a lot of life is waiting. I think, one of the hardest days to understand in the Easter series, you have Good Friday when the Lord is crucified. You have Sunday when the Lord is risen. We very rarely talk about the waiting of Saturday. And that is definitely a big part of it, that waiting. So I hope that all makes sense, dear friends. And thank you for all those wonderful comments. As always, love to hear what people think. There's always so many beautiful perspectives out there. So wish you